Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good.
Morning. Well.
Good morning. Glad to hear that. My name is Daniel Sohn. I'm the proud Chief Executive Officer here at the Imperial Valley Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all for joining us this morning. And for those joining us via the internet, as we are streaming live on social media. The press conference today is being held inside of the Francisco Kiko Guerrero press room located here at the Imperial Valley Regional Chamber office in El Centro. We recognize that this discussion might roll into your lunchtime, so immediately following the press conference, refreshments will be made available for all of our guests present today. A few housekeeping items and adjustments to your program. There's been a change to your program this morning. Representing the City of Westmoreland will be Westmoreland City Clerk Darlene Berber. Mayor Beltran was scheduled to join us this morning, but has notified us that an unforeseen conflict prevents her from being present. She does send warm regards to her elected colleagues who have joined us this morning. Restrooms are available just outside of the press room should you need them. Additionally, should you need anything during the proceeding, please feel free to see a team member at the front desk who's more than happy to assist you. In an interest of keeping on schedule, we are asking that as we move through the program that's been provided to you, our guest speakers remain at the ready, using the chairs to the side of the podium to my right. Thank you all. A big thanks to all of you for joining us again, and a huge thank you to our media partners for agreeing to cover this ongoing discussion, making sure that the voices of Imperial Valley, its workforce, its business community, its local governments, and its businesses are lifted up. The mission of the Imperial Valley Regional Chamber of Commerce is to be dedicated to serving Imperial Valley businesses and promoting community prosperity through advocacy, economic development, connectivity, and business education. And today is all about advocacy. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get our press conference started. But before we do, I want to thank a few of our community members who are present with us today. Our colleagues at the San Diego County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, please wave and be recognized. We thank you for being here. Elizabeth Espinoza, Governmental Relations Officer for Imperial Valley College, I see you in the back. Sherry Cowie, who is IVRCC's Governmental and Legislative Affairs Committee Chair, is here with us. Sean Wilcock, who is IVRCC's Tourism and Economic Development Committee Chair. Our Vice President for the Regional Chamber of Commerce, Barry Smith, is here, and you'll be hearing from our Chamber President at the end of this discussion. Additionally, I'd like to thank the committee members who are present from the Imperial County Southern Border Committee. And at this time, I'd like to bring up Calexico Mayor Javier Moreno for his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I'm sure to do good. Can you hear me without a mic?
Use the mic.
Better? Is it better?
Use the mic because we have the.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. Today there are over 4,000 chambers in the U.S. advocating for an assortment of issues. Some of these include tax reform and economic reform as well. So good morning, like Daniel said, I'm the mayor from Calexico, and thank you for being here. I'd like to thank you for being here today. I also want to thank make a few other recognitions. I want to thank Anne, if I saw her in the morning, Irigoyen, Ivy Chamber of Commerce Board President. Thank you for your leadership. There you are. Thank you.
Yes, sorry again.
And to all the Chamber board members, thank you for welcoming me here today. Also, my congratulations to Daniel Sohn. Did I pronounce that right? Sohn?
Yes.
Okay. For his appointment to the Chamber's as Chief Executive Officer. And finally, please join me in recognizing all the staff for making this event possible. And I'd like to also introduce my colleague here, Mr. Ureña, council member from Calexico. So I'm excited to be here. We live in a region of opportunity where each of us has a line to contribute. You cannot find another place on the planet where culture, commerce, and creativity come together like you do here. Our city supports and promotes the unity of businesses by providing resources, networking, and promoting opportunities to encourage business investment. It also fosters a unified business community that enhances our quality of life in Calexico. As mayor, I've had the opportunity to attend many events. I've had the opportunity as well to listen to a lot of people, a lot of concerns and issues that affect us in Calexico. What it is clear to me today is that Imperial Valley Chambers, whose goal is to further the interests of businesses, its campaign promotes community prosperity through advocacy, connectivity, and business education. This has set a new tone for the dialogue between city government and business owners. And we do have a couple of business owners here today from Calexico. Engaging with business owners creates a shared agenda between our city and business community and allows us to keep working together to tackle the opportunities and challenges that affects all of us. In honor of that tone, I stand here today in this podium in support of the IB Chamber of Commerce as an organization that will not only advocate on behalf of our business owners in the business community to keep small business alive, but also work together with us towards achieving the goals we set out in our strategic plan. The Chamber will offer the opportunity to network with businesses and owners, providing free marketing, a business partner, and a valuable business tool for a small business owner. I believe that a healthy business community, our mission is to be a catalyst for business growth and development. There's a great deal to do. We got a lot of work to cut ahead of us, but on that note, I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to bring up Councilman Raul Urania from City of Calexico.
Hola. Hola. Good afternoon. Muy buenas tardes a todos. This is a very brief bilingual speech for the business community and for all the elected leaders that are gathered here today on this historic occasion. We're all very proud of the collective effort it took to get our message to Washington, to make them responsive to the concerns and the problems and their promises to our border community. Nosotros estamos tan orgullosos de nuestro esfuerzo colectivo que tomó emprender para hacer llegar nuestro mensaje a Washington, al señor Biden, para hacerlos responsables a sus promesas que les hicieron a nuestras comunidades fronterizas durante la campaña. I want to especially recognize the effort of our sister border communities, specifically the County of San Diego, specifically Vice Chair Nora Vargas, that spent countless hours lobbying in Washington to make sure that visa tourism could resume, to make sure that our border communities were heard. I want to thank the City of San Luis and Yuma, who, after the efforts here in Imperial County, also took up arms in letters and made their border voices heard, directed towards Washington and the issues that needed to be heard. Quiero especialmente reconocer los esfuerzos de nuestras comunidades hermanas fronterizas, específicamente el Condado de San Diego, la vicepresidenta del Condado de San Diego, Nora Vargas, que emprendió una lucha de muchas horas, muchos días, meses, para asegurar que el mensaje de que se tenía que abrir la frontera, que las comunidades fronterizas deberían ser respetadas y escuchadas, a llegar a Washington, a la ciudad de San Luis, Arizona, a la ciudad de Yuma, por también emprender en carta dirigida a Washington los mismos temas que nosotros traemos aquí en el Valle de Imperial. I want to thank Vice Chair Jesus Escobar for spearheading what was a very, very effective campaign, a very effective letter, not just to Washington, but to Sacramento on what needed to happen here in the border. Quiero agradecer de todo corazón al vicepresidente Jesús Escobar por ser el líder, emprender lo que viene siendo la carta que se dirigió a Washington con lo que queríamos ver y lo que sucedió en estas semanas. I want to thank the City of Calexico, who very prudently and boldly, explicitly made a demand to President Biden and sent it to him directly made explicit the demand that we wanted visa tourism to open. And we made that acknowledging what the political consequences could be, but we did it more acknowledging what our community needed and what we see on a daily basis. Quiero agradecer a la ciudad de Calexico, mis queridos concejales, quien con mucha prudencia y con mucha fuerza explícitamente mencionaron que ocupábamos abrir la frontera a los visados, no deteniéndose por las consecuencias o los miedos políticos, pero al contrario, con fuerza, sabiendo que era su responsabilidad ante todo hacer escuchar la voz de los ciudadanos fronterizos de esa ciudad, que a diario todo lo ven y a diario saben lo que tiene que suceder en esta región fronteriza. Secondly, y muy importantemente, que viva México. Que viva México, que viva Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador y toda nuestra Latinoamérica unida. If anything has been made clear during this pandemic, is how important Mexico and the rest of Latin America is to us and to this country. Si algo ha quedado claro, es la suma importancia que tiene México, Honduras, Guatemala y toda la Latinoamérica a nuestro país y nuestra región. It made clear that closing borders out of spite, politics, and pride does nothing but damage us. Cerrar fronteras es hacernos un daño propio por orgullo y desprecio a lo que nos alimenta. We have to move forward with love and illumination of our reality and the people who work so hard to keep our business flowing and to make sure that economic prosperity is possible within this region. Tenemos que actuar con amor y iluminación de quienes verdaderamente mueven la mano de obra, que mueven los emprendedores, que mueven en conjuntamente, colaborativamente, la región y su economía. No more sleepy and corrupt Calexico. No more sleepy County of Imperial. No more sidelined and mocked Calexico. We will be moving forward with all of this new energy within the bones of this community that we're always here. A community and a county where equity, respect, and dignity, civil rights are the fabric of the prosperity moving forward. Together we can do more. Together we can move mountains. Together we can get to Washington if something is not right. Together we can get to Sacramento if something is not right. And only when we are united, when we give each other the respect and importance locally, can we move forward to greater. No más de un Calexico durmiente y corrupto, no más de un condado de Imperial mudo y inactivo, no más de un Calexico hecho a un lado. Vamos a movernos juntos con toda la energía en los huesos de esta comunidad, que siempre han estado ahí. Una comunidad en donde la equidad, el respeto, la dignidad y los derechos civiles equitativos son la fábrica del hacer de la prosperidad económica en toda esta región. Juntos haremos más. Juntos moveremos montañas. Juntos llegaremos a Washington una y otra vez cuando las cosas se complican. Una y otra vez a Sacramento cuando tengan que escucharnos. Solamente cuando estamos unidos, solamente cuando nos damos el respeto y la importancia uno al otro localmente, podremos mover adelante a más. Yes, we can, y sí se puede. I'm very proud of everybody in this room.
As you can hear, our local government's voices are very passionate, and the regional chamber is here to amplify those voices, and that is why we called this press conference today. At this time, I'd like to bring up Vice Chair for the Imperial County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Jesus Escobar.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This will be lifted November 1st without my consent. November 22nd, that's a whole separate matter altogether. I'm not going to get into it. One word, oxygen. Why oxygen? Oxígeno. Calexico, Imperial County needed this to happen. It's been 19 months. I see a friend of mine from grade school. This business has been suffering. It was already hard to deal with all the competition, and you close the borders for 19 months. How can we survive as small businesses in Imperial County? We asked for the road rage. How many people work at, I was going to say Brawley Beef, that's a mistake. One World Beef in Brawley. This is not a Calexico issue. This is an Imperial County issue. That's why we fought hard from day one. We understand we're in a pandemic. I lost my father-in-law. I lost an aunt. I think we all lost somebody that we loved, that was near and dear to our heart. But we also have to progress from a business community. Bottom line, that's what vaccines are for. That's what mask mandates are for, to protect us. But at the end of the day, it's important that we all came together to make this happen. Not just the city of Calexico, not just the city of Central, not just Imperial County, across our footprints, northern border, southern border. Again, when we are in the U.S. and we're looking at what the cities on the border, on the U.S. side, and how much they depend, be it Canada to the U.S. or Mexico to the U.S., it's the same thing. We depend highly on the Mexican economy and the foreign national coming into our cities, into our counties, and providing that fiscal stimulus, that small business income that we have lost for so many months. EIDL money, SBA PPP money, Cal grants, a plethora of small business, nonprofit and for-profit businesses, big business, small business. It's all artificial money. It's all artificial money. And what's going to happen when it ends? That's when our crisis is going to hit. That's why this is so important, especially given the dates that it happened. November 8th. What happens 2 weeks from now? Well, a couple weeks from November 8th? Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Mexican nationals don't necessarily use Amazon as much as Americans do. They like to shop, they like to see things. They don't believe in their mail system. As such, Black Friday is still alive and well in Imperial County. That's why it's so important that we had this specific date set in mind. We thank God, we thank the federal government for lifting this mandate. I don't know if I should thank Tomas Oliva, who's a friend of mine. I'm a little on the fence on that one. But at the end of the day, we're very thankful for Black Friday, Las Posadas, supermarkets, retail stores. Again, we're very thankful for this. We need this oxygen. Imperial County needs this oxygen. Taking a step back, Calexico East will also be opening up a second shift from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Again, I'm questioning, thanking Tomas on that one. Why is that important? How could Calexico or Imperial County handle the traffic? It can't handle it now. Imagine the traffic that's going to happen when foreign nationals come into play. And the GSA and the construction from 10 to 16 lanes occurring that was delayed from December of 2022 to December of 2023. How would we play into that? We could not. So again, we're very thankful to regional CBP, to national CBP, to our elected officials at the federal level for making this happen. Because again, if we don't do one, the other one is dead. So the fact that they're joined at the hip, we are very thankful for as well. And come October 8th, if not sooner, although they're saying or sooner, it will likely be November 8th, I apologize, we will have Calexico East open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So again, thank you very much. Oxygen, definitely needed, very thankful, very appreciative, and again, the struggle continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. At this time, I'd like to bring to the podium Mayor of the City of Imperial, Mayor Corinne Eugenia.
That's a hard act to follow. Good morning, my name is Corinne Eugenio, and I'm the Mayor of the City of Imperial. Thank you to the Regional Chamber of Commerce for hosting this press conference. I just want to say that I'm so grateful for the flourishing relationship, not only in the City of Imperial, but throughout the county. I anticipate that this establishing bridge between our municipalities and the Chamber of Commerce will continue to flourish. The U.S.-Mexican border, situated in Mexicali and Calexico, signifies great importance to me as it does to all of us here. As a child, it was a bridge to me and my family on the other side. As an adult, the same port of entry is also a bridge to my students at Imperial Valley College and San Diego State Calexico. Particularly as an elected leader, the port of entry is a massive means of commercial sustenance throughout our county. As leaders in our community, we cannot merely be concerned with our own cities. We have to acknowledge our residents as a whole. We do not suffer or strive alone. So when commerce is struggling in Calexico or El Centro or anywhere in our valley because of a restricted port of entry, I see it, I feel it. As an underserved community, we can't afford this kind of blow to our economy. Recently, my 75-year-old mother just waited nearly 6 hours to cross the port of entry with COVID pneumonia. Dehydrated, exhausted, and nearing death, she barely made it. This is not okay. Luckily, she is okay. I desperately urge our state and federal leaders to ensure the opening of our port of entry on November 8th and to continue working with local elected leaders to further discussion that matters to this community. We are so incredibly fortunate to live in a region where two cultures collide and mesh so beautifully. We need each other. It's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to bring up Mayor Pro Tem from the City of Brawley, Sam Couchman.
I'm kind of a last-minute fill-in for our mayor, Luke Hamby, and so I'm representing Brawley and the City Council of Brawley. I'm very happy for the invitation. Thank you very much for inviting me to the press conference. One thing I would like to say, as a lifelong resident of Brawley, 68 years in Brawley, we realize the connection between Mexico and our small community. And one of the things that we recognize is the economics of it all. And so Brawley is very aware of that. Brawley's further from the border than some of your communities, and we know that we're probably impacted in a less of a way with the border delays and everything than other communities here in Imperial County. However, we're very supportive of the county community and the other cities within our area, and so we want to be there for you and work with you in terms of any of these issues or problems that we may encounter, challenges if we may want to call them, here in Imperial County. In my 35 years of working with the county in workforce development, our county is unique. It is bordered by a large city on the Mexican side, and the economics are there all the time, constantly, both workforce and economy, and exchange of dollars and money and everything flows through that area. So we're very concerned about that. We will say that Brawley, while impacted maybe a little less from the business side, is certainly impacted from the agricultural side. We have a lot of farmers from the Brawley region, a lot of farm business over there, and Brawley is very strongly connected to the farming community. And so any delays on the border in terms of getting across affects our farming community in a great way. And any delay in getting labor across the border, which we use on an ongoing basis, does have a major impact on Brawley's economy. The farm labor, the beef plant, farm implement places, farm equipment, supplies, food, restaurants, everything is impacted by that. And so we understand those impacts. We want to work together with the other cities and with the county as a whole to further any kind of betterment of the border crossing. In other words, we're happy that they've agreed to reopen it, and we think that'll be great. We have a Walmart. We do get visitors down there that come in and shop at our Walmart and other businesses in the city of Brawley, so we're happy about that. We do know there's probably going to continue to be border delays, but I think those of us in the local community need to work to ensure that those border delays do not continue. And we also need to ensure that people can travel through border checkpoints in Imperial County in a much faster fashion. And so we want to keep everybody safe. We're aware of COVID. I've lost family members to COVID. We've had family members that have been ill with COVID, so we understand the danger there, but we also we have to open up the economy. The economy cannot continue the way it's been going in the way that it's been going. I've been to the mall, I've been to Calexico. I've seen how they've been impacted by it. And I'm very much in favor of opening that up as much as we can in order to keep those economies flowing here in Imperial County. So we're all in this small world together. It's a small world, and we are affected by whatever happens in Mexico. So with that, Raleigh is with you on all your efforts to do that, and Raleigh supports the efforts to open the border and make it easier to travel back and forth, to visit family, to shop, to do the things that we do in a normal society. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As previously mentioned in the beginning of the program, there was an adjustment to your agenda this morning. Representing the city of Westmoreland is going to be the city clerk for Westmoreland, Darlene Berber.
Thank you, Daniel. I just want to say good morning. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. I want to thank you, Mayor Moreno, for reaching out to the city of Westmoreland several months ago regarding this issue. As a representative of the city of Westmoreland, we have experienced a reduction in economical activity. We have seen fewer workers from across the border, fewer shoppers, and a reduction of tourism since the onset of the pandemic. Also, as Mayor Giano had mentioned, it also affects our education system. As a caregiver in Imperial Valley as well, I have noticed that with the delays at the border, it has been hard to get help for a lot of our seniors, our dreamers, our students, those with dual citizenship. Coming from a background where my grandfather came from Mexicali. My grandma was born and raised in Brawley. They didn't meet until they lived in Orange County. My grandpa passed away shortly before the pandemic.
I'm not sure I understand.
He doesn't understand.
I'm not sure I understand.
And he won't. Sorry about that. So my grandfather passed away shortly before the pandemic. But he would always say, "Si se puede." We can do it. Throughout, does not just affect our valley. It affects our whole region, our whole southern border. I recently ran into a student from USD. She travels from Mexicali all the way to San Diego. She has to travel through the I'm getting my borderline. She has to travel through what's the other one? San Isidro. She has to San Isidro. And she also has to care for her elderly mother. She is a law student. Everybody is affected, from a young in age to our elderly, those that we should protect the most. We wear our masks, we get vaccinated. We also have veterans that can't cross, that have dual citizenship. And that's another press conference. But as I said before, it is an honor and privilege to be with all you great leaders today. And I'm hoping that Sacramento, Washington listens and hears. We're grateful for the extension in hours for the border. We're hoping that it promotes jobs, but we're hoping that you really think about the people that you are elected to serve. Thank you.
I'd just like to mention that we do have a representative from Assemblymember Garcia's office here, Stella Jimenez. Thank you for being here to lift up local voices. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up Mayor Pro Tem Tomas Oliva. He's got 2 hits against him. Let's see if he can hit back.
Yes, Tomas. I don't take them as hits.
I know.
Hello everyone, my name is Tomas Oliva and I'm here on behalf of the City of El Centro, humbly serving as the Mayor Pro Tem this year. We are here hand in hand in solidarity with the City of Calexico, with the County of Imperial, for their efforts to raise the awareness, raise the voice that we would like to see the hours of operation expanded in order to address some unintended consequences that have detrimentally impacted the community of Calexico. Many of us, I would say all of us in this room don't really need a recap, but you're gonna get one. How did we get here? I mean, remember what we went through for the last year and a half. I remember being told that a virus and illness was going to just hit our communities, right? I remember saying no to going to an event and being ridiculed and criticized by my friends because, oh, Tomas is being a little punk, right? And then months later, being asked, you knew something, didn't you? I mean, I have to say I'm very fortunate to work for the federal government, and yes, we did know ahead of time, which was why I was told stay home until further notice, right? But many of us eventually came across that. We were told to stay home, we were told to be safe. When we had to go to the grocery store, there was so much uncertainty, right? You remember the folks wearing their makeshift uniforms, right? Like using plastic bags or something. I remember people using gloves just to go to the grocery store because there was so much that was unknown. With that came the closure of the border, the travel restrictions, right? So that led us to why we were faced that. Fast forward, thankfully, through science, we have a vaccine that we've been told keeps us safe. And that has reflected in the reductions of hospitalizations, the rates of infection. And so thankfully, in June, the governor of the state of California reopened the state, right? We were then since told, you can go back to work. We need you to come back in person. Students, workers, employees, employers are now thinking about reinvesting in their businesses, expanding their hours. Workers are being asked to come back. And so that is where now the issue comes in with the border. The policies have not been aligned. You have the state of California saying, come back, we're open, students are being asked to come back in person, employees are being asked to come back in person, and yet we still have a bottleneck at the border. We still have restrictions at the border. Thankfully, within the last week, we're hearing now that those restrictions are going to be changed and augmented. We're being told, right, by Customs and Border Protection that Calexico East, the hours of operation will be expanded. That's exactly what we've been asking for. That's exactly what the City of Calexico, the County of Imperial have been asking for several months. So we're happy, we're thankful that Customs and Border Protection has heard our voices, right? We're in this together. And I can say that using another hat that I am thankfully honored to be able to wear, I do know that the federal government was working on this, right? I do know that Congressman Juan Vargas' office was adamantly working on this, speaking with Senator Alex Padilla's office and Senator Feinstein's office. They were not asleep at this. And I think that with all of us speaking the same voice and having the same message, that's why we saw action sooner rather than later. And so again, the City of El Centro is with you all. Thank you for all saying the same thing, standing up for the same message. We're here with our partners in business, education, and other governments. And we look forward to November 8th. We're holding Customs and Border Protection accountable to their word, and we're looking forward for the changes. So thank you everyone for being here.
You heard about some of the delays and the hurdles that the border delays have caused our students and sometimes even faculty. And so the Regional Chamber stands strong with our governmental partners, as do we with our educational partners. And so here today to talk about the impact that this has had on his institution, our local college here, is Dr. Johnson from Imperial Valley College.
I need oxygen.
Yeah.
It is so great to be here, and I want to thank the Imperial Valley Regional Chamber of Commerce for putting this together today. As we strongly encourage our federal government to open up the borders. Me personally, I enjoy going down to Mexicali, and I have been deprived of this luxury over the past year and a half. I only went one time, and I usually go once or twice a month to have dinner or lunch, and I have been deprived. So I'm looking forward to that reopening. That's my selfish opinion. But as we encourage the reopening of our border, three things come to mind. One, as a border community, we work in concert with our community down south. We have mutual relationships, business, social, financial interests, as well as religion. Having a closed border only separates families, friends, and economic opportunities. We don't need division at this time. We need unity. The second thing that comes to mind is, as a college, our students require the borders to be open. It is no secret that the community colleges have experienced a significant decline in enrollment. IVC has experienced about an 18% decline in enrollment since 2019. We don't know all the factors that have contributed to this. However, we know that a closed border did not help it. We need the borders to be open so our students and our employees can travel back and forth. Many family members and people had to make some tough decisions. You know, do I stay north of the border and not visit my families and friends down south? Or do I stay south and don't visit my friends and family up north? No one should have to make that decision, especially in these trying times. IVC has been a pillar of always trying to remove barriers to student success. We have started many initiatives, including the housing project, basic needs support, enhanced student support services, as well as providing financial incentives to our students to stay in school. Particularly in this winter and spring semester, we're offering free tuition just to get students to reinvest in their lives and their careers. Because by their delaying their education, they're delaying potential employees at your institutions and your businesses. We can't have that. We need the borders to be open so that they can continue their education. This, to me, this is an equity issue as well as an access issue. Three, we have had continuous conversations with CETIs. Right now, we're in a process of working on a 2+2 agreement. Two students will spend 2 years at IVC and then 2 years at CETIs to earn their bachelor's degree. I hope to have this finalized within the next couple of months. A closed border is not going to help us in that process. We want to make sure that we keep local talent here in the Valley. We don't want them to go to LA. We don't want them to go to San Francisco, because we know once they leave, we're only going to get a few of those students back here. So we need to have those partnerships in place and work in concert with our Mexicali brothers and sisters down there to make sure that all of us in Imperial Valley thrives and be successful. So with that, in closing, opening our border is not a simple act. It's opening the door to opportunities for students, community members, as well as our business partners. So again, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be here and speak on the educational perspective, and let's open our borders. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. All right, we're making good time, but we're going to ask our speakers to kind of keep it brief. Not that you won't, Mark. I'm going to bring up Mark Baza from the Imperial County Transportation Commission to talk a little bit about the impact.
Thank you. Mark Baza, your Executive Director for Imperial County Transportation Commission. And by that, some of you don't know, but my board consists of every representative from each of the cities and the county of Imperial and IID. So we are your transportation agency. You know, we're involved in planning, and one of those things that we did, in partnership with the San Diego Association of Governments, just earlier this year, we completed a border impacts of delay study. And just some of the impacts just to Imperial County include that there were $890 million in economic output loss. And that was based on data in 2016. And along with that 2016 data, the Imperial County felt $312 million in loss to itself, Imperial County. It also lost 23,921 jobs due to those impacts of the lake. That's 2016 data. That was way better than the data that we have today. And then felt directly in Imperial County, 3,451 jobs lost based on the analysis of this study. So the impact is real. As we know, the difference between 2019 and 2020, there was 52,000 northbound people crossings at the two ports of entry, Calexico East and West. In 2020, there were 28,000. It's about a 45% reduction in border crossings. So what does that mean? You know, it's an impact to this region. You know, we can talk about that, but we all know the importance of this border community. We have families on both sides of the border here in Imperial and Mexicali. We have families in San Diego and Tijuana and those and every other cross-border communities. There's that loss. People have been out of regular contact with their families on the other side of the border. That's not a good thing. The County of Imperial in 2017 did a border survey of spending at the border crossings. They estimated that $1 billion that these people these crossings were spending $1 billion annually here in Imperial County. That's a huge dollar amount. I'll just close with, you know, the truck crossings have not been diminished. In fact, it increased a little this last 2020. 390,000 trucks crossed annually last year, and it's still crossing. So trade, $17 billion in import and exports cross through Calexico East every year. Up some, 18 billion, 19 billion, but in most recent times, $17 billion in trade through the Calexico East port of entry. I'll just highlight some key transportation improvements that we're doing related to the border. We're in the process of widening the bridge at the All-American Canal at Calexico East. We're adding 2 more northbound lanes for trucks, 2 more northbound lanes for autos. As most of you know who cross Calexico East, that bridge is a choke point. It's a big choke point, and it has not only economic benefits, but it also improves the air quality because idling vehicles is not a good thing. We're building a transit center in Calexico soon. We're in design right now. We're completing that later this year in partnership with the city of Calexico. We still have yet to get the construction money, but we feel very confident that we'll get that as we get ready to go to construction later next year. Why is that important? That transit center serves all of Imperial County. Some of our busiest traffic on transit is Calexico to El Centro. It's, not only will that transit center serve our Imperial Valley Transit operations, it will also serve the shuttle services to the outlet mall. It'll serve the Calexico Transit Service, private vendor. It will serve farm-related buses and taxis. So it will be our largest transit center. That would, some of you know that we built transit centers in our other cities: Imperial, El Centro, Raleigh, IVC. We've done that in partnership with all of you, and it serves this region. But this is another transit center that we hope to build in Calexico. We're also embarking, hopefully in early next year, microtransit in the city of Calexico. And what is microtransit? Microtransit is an opportunity for people in the city, within the city boundaries, to get to make a reservation online or to make a phone call for a reservation to pick up from your door to your destination and back. Why is that important just to Calexico? Well, it serves a lot of people in Calexico, obviously. But we hope this is a pilot for us, that we look at intracity services in the other cities. If this is successful, and we got this paid for in part by a grant that we got from the state of California, and so we're hopeful that we can embark on that in other cities. You know, we have, and here in El Centro, we have the blue and green line. We have in Brawley a very successful line, the gold line. And we hope that maybe we can transition to this on-demand type, for lack of better terms, an Uber-like public service for people that can get in, and in this case, a clean vehicle, an electric vehicle that can handle people, disabled persons as well. So with that, I'll just close. Last but not least, and it's border related. We're working with Customs and Border Protection to expand the 86 checkpoint. As for most of us, you know that it's been a single lane inspection, and it backs up longer than I can imagine. I've been in it, but we're adding 2 lanes. It'll be on the main lane highway, and the original inspection station will serve as their secondary inspection. So we're trying to do our part, and we're proud to be here with you all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Listen, so you're hearing about all the impacts that this has had across our region. And I want to tell you that while it has impacted our educational institutions, our transit systems, and of course our local cities, within all of these areas is our local businesses. And so as a Chamber of Commerce, we have forged partnerships, mended other partnerships, firmed up partnerships, and one of those is with the Small Business Development Center here in Imperial Valley. The partnership between SBDC and all of the chambers in the valley, frankly, was strong, but it's gotten even stronger, I think, with the regional merge of this entity. And so we're so proud of our partnership with SBDC, and to talk a little bit about what that partnership entails and some of the things we're going to be doing in your city, Mayor. Actually, as of the day after the border opening is going to be Jaisel Mendoza. She's the director of our SBDC here, and she's also going to introduce 2 business owners and their businesses who have been heavily impacted by the border delays. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for putting this together. I honestly can say that I think this is long overdue, given everything that we have had to face as a county. Not only the economic impact, but the emotional impact that it has had to our residents, our business owners, employees, and the children, unfortunately. The impact to our workforce has been horrible. Unfortunately, as clients come in, business owners come into our offices, we hear a common denominator. Nobody can find workers. There's plenty of work out there, but no way to fulfill it. So I am very, very happy and pleased to hear that the borders will be reopening, and hopefully we can start moving forward towards progression. The financial literacy that has been brought to our attention, I cannot express. One of the main things that we have seen in our centers throughout the United States has been the financial literacy, the attention to being aware of your business and how to properly run your business has been a huge eye-opener. To some extent, I think that the pandemic has been a blessing in disguise. It has helped us get out of our comfort zone and hit a reset button to bring attention to a lot of things that needed to be brought attention towards. This pandemic has also forced us to strengthen our partnerships within our centers at the Small Business Development Center and really reevaluate ourselves and what we're doing. It has also forced us to strengthen our partnerships with cities, with chambers, with so many different entities. It has brought so much unity in certain aspects. We have to change the way we do business. That is something the pandemic has taught us, something that we are proactively working towards as the Small Business Development Center. So moving forward, we want to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion. We want to work forward towards rebuilding, because that is where we are right now. We need the border to open up in order for us to start rebuilding. I'm originally from Calexico, and I can tell you that I have seen the impact it has had to our community, and it is very sad to drive through the streets. As I was mentioning to some of our SBA partners in San Diego last week when we met up, some of them are planning on making a trip here. They asked specifically about businesses in Calexico and in El Centro that they're currently helping through some of these programs. So I asked them, please make the trip and please spend the night, and I'd like to pick you guys up at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, and drive you guys down the streets of Calexico and have you see what we are seeing. Seeing the people that are sleeping on the streets waiting for a ride to be able to go to work, the responsibility that is being held on their end, and how they're fulfilling it. And like I said, again, the impact that it's had on our community, not only economically, but emotionally towards these people. And, you know, thankfully they agreed to it, so we'll see how that visit goes, and we'll see how our drive goes down in the middle of the night. And so we'll see. And this has taught us to be proactive instead of reactive. So like I said, I believe the pandemic has been a blessing in disguise, and having these discussions and pushing for the border to reopen has been a long overdue subject, which I am very thankful that we're finally addressing and bringing the attention, because Calexico has not been the only city that has been impacted. Every city has been impacted. Every business has been impacted. If I tell you how many different business owners I have sat down and spoke to and cried alongside with them as they have filed for bankruptcy, as they have closed their doors, as they have suffered what they've suffered, I am very happy that we're finally moving forward towards progression, and it's time to work together. So with that being said, before I introduce the next speaker, I did want to announce to all of you, we will be, with keeping in mind the changes and the issues that are going on, we will be joining forces with the Imperial Regional Chamber of Commerce alongside with the City of Calexico to try to re-spark business in the City of Calexico. That'll be hosted November 9th at 5:30 in City Hall. For more details, I'll stick around if you guys want to get that information. We hope that we can count on everyone's support and help bring those ties and connections and that unity to hopefully be able to get Calexico up and running alongside with everybody else in the Imperial County. Thank you for being here, and I'd like to introduce Robert Gronich. He is the business owner for Garland's. I know you guys heard me talk a lot about the impact, but these are the people that you really need to hear from, the ones who lived it day to day.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Gronich. I represent Garland's Department Store in downtown Calexico, California. I'd like to thank all of the bright and intelligent people that are in this room that have made the effort to bring awareness to the struggles of the Imperial Valley. Thank you to our Mayor Moreno and all of the honorable council members from Calexico. You guys are sounding the alarms. We appreciate that because we really do need it in downtown Calexico. Garland's has been in business for 61 years in downtown Calexico on 2nd Street. I could literally throw a football over the border if I step out of my front door. My father was American, coming from Los Angeles. My mother is from Mexicali. I have a unique perspective on what it means to have shut down the border, not being able to see family members, not being able to see your customers that you have been serving for the last 61 years. So again, I want to thank all of the people who are making the effort to alert our state officials, our federal officials, of the struggles that we're going through and the help that we need in this region. I don't have the data. All of you, you don't need a recap on the economic activity and benefit that this region produces. And so it would seem to me that state officials and federal officials need to pay more attention to this region. I'm speaking as a businessman, and so I'm looking at it from the lens of the person inside the business, seeing their customers wanting to come into the store and buy. They want to come into the Imperial Valley. They're telling us through Messenger, through WhatsApp, through our Facebook page, we miss you guys, and we miss our customers from Mexicali as well. You would never close the doors on Black Friday to a mob of people outside your store wanting to come in and wanting to buy. Why have we done that? I understand there's a pandemic and there's safety concerns. We should be doing more to vaccinate not only this county, but also the people in Mexicali, because we want them to come in. And we want them to come in safely. And so, again, to our state officials, to our federal officials, let's partner up with our sister city from the south, with all the border towns. Let's vaccinate also the people who are closest to us, because they're the ones in our region, they're the ones who provide a lot of the economic benefits that all of us enjoy in this room. And so, again, I speak very passionately off the cuff. I don't have a speech, and I didn't want to write one. I just wanted to share with all of you and with our Secretary of Homeland Security and with President Biden that we need the resources. I am very grateful. We are recipients of some of those resources, federal resources, state resources, county resources, as well as city resources. We are very grateful for those. God bless America. We are the greatest country in the world. There are other countries that don't support the citizenry or the business community the way this country does. God bless the American taxpayer, because the American taxpayer is providing all those benefits as well. We want to get back to work. We want to lift up our business. We want everybody to lift up their business. We need that border to operate efficiently. The border has gone through over $100 million in renovations and opening and more lanes. That's great. That's beautiful. But if it doesn't operate efficiently, then what's the point of having made all that investment? We need all those lanes open. We need the federal government to support the local CBP people. Give them the resources to not only fulfill their mission of protecting our country, but also to facilitate trade. Thank you very much.
Robert, thank you so much for sharing those kind words. Next up, we have Tiberio Esparza. He is the owner for EW Corporation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I applaud all the previous speakers. Great job. I'm going to switch the coin a little bit for you. I think that we need to also recognize that it's a two-way street. You know, we want the folks from Mexico to come into the United States. They provide services to us. We depend on them as employers. We depend on them spending dollars in our community. But I think it's important that we also spend some energy in figuring out how to get them home safely without having to also sit in line for hours and hours. Once that border opens next month, getting back to Mexicali after their work hours, it's going to be a bit of a wreck. I think we've all experienced it. You know, my father lives in Mexico, so I regularly travel to Mexicali. He lives in Arroyosa, so I regularly have to travel to Mexico. And you have to sit in line for 2 hours across the border at the end of the day to get to go see my father, who requires 24-hour care. So it's important that we also address that. When IVDC contacted me to speak, what I recommended to him was that I think we need to have a conversation with the other side as well about what can we do to open the border there so that at those particular heavy hours that people can run through. You know, the people that we depend on, that touch the ground, that pull the vegetables for us, that service our food, a lot of them are from Mexicali. At the end of their shift, they're tired, they want to go home, they have family obligations to get to. It takes them 2 or 3 hours to get home. They've already put in 2 or 3 hours to get over here. Mm-hmm. Let's see what we can do to get them home quickly so that they avoid accidents. They're at work thinking about, I got to go sit in line for 2 hours, and I got to take my daughter to the dentist, et cetera, et cetera. All those things weigh on them, right? We're talking about the equality and just human decency and really wanting to elevate the lives of those who make our lives better in Imperial County as well. We're not just talking about us reaping the benefits from them coming over, but let's talk about those that really are contributors. So what I said to IVDC is, let's have a conversation with the folks on the other side about what can we do to open up that border so that these folks can get home in a reasonable amount of time. That's really my message today. I don't want to reiterate everything that's been said earlier today. Everybody's done a really good job with that, but I wanted to make sure that we talked about, the people that really make it happen for us, the people that are headed back home, that come back, spend their dollars, to go back to their families. Let's make it easy for them to go back to their families as well, and the students that come over here. Let's really open up the border. One of the, I remember when I was much younger, in my 20s, it was so much easier to go into Mexicali and have dinner and then come right back. Now, forget it, right? And previous to the pandemic, 3-4 years ago, it's still been very difficult to say, hey guys, or hey my wife or girlfriend, let's go over to Mexicali and have a dinner. Now when it's going to take an hour and a half to get in and 2 hours to get back. So let's see what we can do about opening up the border both ways, not just talking about bringing them over this way. Let's get our folks back home, that our brothers and sisters who come to help us out on this side. So before I leave, I'd like to find out what's the first step in having a conversation with the folks in Mexicali about the border wait times for our brothers and sisters headed home. How do we do that?
This is the first step.
Okay.
And then the leaders here today are prepared to have that, and I think the mayor of Calexico has an open line.
We did have those talks already.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can assure you on that, we have.
Yeah.
Fabulous. If I can be of any help, or cheerleader, or water boy, let me know. I'll be there.
Okay.
I'd love to participate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Esparza and Mr. Gronich. Your voices are exactly why we're here. So at this time, we have one last speaker, and it's our president of the chamber, Ann Irigoyen. And I think this is the perfect person to close this session because she's going to give us an inspirational message like she always does. Ann.
It always makes Daniel nervous when I don't have notes in front of me. Wow, I would like to thank everybody who came today. While each of you were speaking, I had goosebumps. What we have worked for the past 2 years on becoming a regional chamber is about this. Mm-hmm. It's about knocking down those city, county, country borders and working together as a team. It's about listening to each other and finding out how we can be better as a valley. I have an agriculture business. Yes, I have been affected by the closing of this border tremendously. My workers, instead of having a 10-hour day, they have an 18-hour day going back and forth. And I've worked as hard as I can to help them still maintain their hours, but not be in a position where they have to get up at 3 in the morning to get to work by 6. and then they can't go home. When they go home, they're there till another 6 or 7. So my mother-in-law, on a personal note, she was affected. We had caretakers that came from Mexicali because it's difficult to find caretakers in the Imperial Valley to take care of our elderly. She was taking care of my father-in-law 24/7, and her women who came over, whom she was supporting, couldn't come over. I think that I'm very passionate about this. I realize I'm not a local. I haven't lived here. I've lived here 28 years, so eventually I'll be a local, right? And I really feel strongly about this valley. I really feel strongly about Mexico and Mexicali. Between these two areas, you helped me raise my children to become successful children, okay? You helped us make a business here and live here. We're struggling, like many of you still. And I look at our heroes that have actually tried to start businesses during the pandemic, my daughter being one of them, and starting it successfully. You guys, we need to work together, and we need to do this more. It can't be them, us, who, although pronouns are very important, don't get me wrong, but it needs to be us. It needs to be we. It needs to be what can we do? How can we make this happen? Thank you, everyone who's attending today. This is way more than we thought, and actually everything we hoped. And so, thank you, and if there's anything we can do as a regional chamber, help facilitate gatherings like this, help set up meetings. Whatever you need, please feel free to call us. We're there for you. That's who does it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so I just want to thank again our media partners. All of our speakers are available for questions. If not, if you have a question and they've already left, we'll be sure to get their contact information to you. Additionally, we have refreshments for you in the back. I'd like to thank our guest staff from the cities that are here, as well as from the educational institutions. I'm looking at you, Elizabeth, and of course our committee chairs, Sherry and Sean, who are joining us, as well as our board members. So with that, this concludes the press conference. Thank you.